Hello! So today Steve and I are reviewing The Hobbit, The Desolation of Smaug. Is that right?
Yeah.
Because some people are saying Smag.
Or Smaug.
Smaug. Desolation of Smaug. So the storyline of this is the dwarfs with Bilbo Baggins and Gandalf are going back to get back their homeland.
Erebor.
I was going to say it, Steve.
Yeah, right.
I was going to say it, of Erebor, which is taken over by Smaug. They've got to stop that, and Bilbo still has the ring in his possession. Yeah. So, there's two different opinions here today. I really enjoyed this. Thought it was very good. There's some things that I didn't like about it, but I really enjoyed it. So, let's hear... I think we should say your opinion. I say that I really liked it. Yeah. You didn't like it as much.
Yeah, I did generally enjoy the film as itself, but I was disappointed in many, many points. I have to be honest, it's quite a few years since I read the book, but you sometimes get the impression that Peter Jackson forgot to read the book. But yeah, that might have sounded a bit very harsh. I was just awaiting something a bit different, but I guess I can talk about that in more depth later on.
Yeah, I forgot to say about the people that are starring in this. Ian McKellen again as Gandalf, like always, and then we have Martin Freeman as Bilbo, and this time we have Evangeline Lilly, who you may remember from Lost, who is now playing Toriel, and Orlando Bloom is in this as Legolas, and then we have Luke Evans, who is now Bard.
Yes, Bard.
And we also have another guy who was a character in the book, the bear.
Baron. Something
Baron,
like
that.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I know he's a bigger character in the book, in ways.
In ways, but I guess that was
they sort
kind of all right.
Yeah, he's here in this. So, the one thing that I'm annoyed about with this, which Steve is also annoyed about, is Peter Jackson has been like, all right, I want to try and fit the Lord of the Rings world in here. I want to try and give people the action from Lord of the Rings and try and make this as good as Lord of the Rings was.
And as epic.
And it's just, it's a bit annoying in ways, because Legolas and Toriel are not in The Hobbit. Toriel, not in Lord of the Rings, not in The Hobbit, was never
a Tolkien character.
Was never a Tolkien character. She was never in the books, and it's just like, Peter Jackson was like, oh, we need her in here, we need her as something in here. Honestly, she's a great strong female lead, which girls that go and see this can look up to, and men as well, and it's just, she's a great female character to look up to, but it's Legolas and her are like the besties. They're going about and like, oh, you followed me, I know you're going to fight with me. With those things, it just bothered me that they added those two characters in this, because Legolas was never in The Hobbit, and it's just like, oh, wait a second, I'm Peter Jackson, I made Lord of the Rings, I want to remind people of these characters. I want people to be like, Legolas from Lord of the Rings is in this as well, yay, we can be happy now, maybe more characters will come along.
Hope not.
I hope not, yeah. Because the thing is, the dwarfs are fathers to characters that are in Lord of the Rings.
Well, one of them is.
Yeah, one of them is a father to one of the characters in Lord of the Rings. I hope that character never appears, because that would just be like, oh, I'm poking at Lord of the Rings now, remember everybody? Yeah, that's the one thing that bothered me the most, because them trying to make Lord of the Rings now. What was your one main problem?
Well, not one main problem, but yeah, one big problem I thought was there's a very, very unnecessary love story in that film. As far as I can remember, no love story like that in the book, and it was just... It just took time from the film, which could have either been taken out. It
feels very Hollywoodized, if that's even a word. Like you said that to me.
It's just not necessary. Because I was also reading a review the other day where someone said, oh, it brings a lot of feeling in the story and stuff, but why does it always have to be like a love story like that? You've got so many different kinds of ways to show feelings. You could show an uncertainty of Bilbo and a helping hand by Gandalf, for example. You could put a lot of feelings into that. You could put a lot of feelings into, two of the dwarves are brothers. You can put a lot of feelings into there, like brotherly love. Yeah. But no, it always has to be that romantic kind of love.
We haven't really spoiled it here by saying who it is with, but there's a love story in there. There's just an unnecessary love story. It feels like it takes out. I can't remember what the theory is called now, where a film doesn't have a woman speaking about love with a man, and that film is good because it doesn't show a woman speaking about love with a man, that she can be this independent woman on her own. But with this, or whatever. It just bothered me.
I think now we should try to say some
now we
positive
should talk
sides
some
as well.
positive things about the film.
Especially as you're the one who
So,
liked it.
I liked it. Benedict Cumberbatch as Smaug is great. I was going to try and do an impression of the voice, but Benedict Cumberbatch bloody knows how to do his voice acting. Star Trek, that voice was just... I tried to do it earlier, and all I got was...
Yeah, you sounded like a frog.
And with Smaug, all I got was... Thief. And I can't do the voice. He's just a brilliant man. Smaug was great, and now that I found out, there's motion capture. It was motion capture for Smaug. Like, you see parts, which I didn't see in the film, but you see parts where Benedict Cumberbatch's face is in there, and you can see his movements while they were recording it, and I think that's cool. They did that, and I was like, that's impressive then. There's a bit too much where you're like, oh, dragon's gone out the shot. Let's have it all sort of quiet and stuff, and it added some suspense at points. There's one point with suspense where some coins drop from the dragon. You're like, all right, this adds a bit of suspense to it. But I thought Smaug. I don't want to be someone that. Yes, Smaug is in the title, but so many people that reviewed this film have just been like, oh, it's all about the dragon,
And it's
no, it's not. Dragon appears in the last maybe half an hour of the film, and you do get a lot of Bilbo and him talking and him trying to be like, no, I'm not a thief, I haven't come to get something from you. It was a great moment, but it's just like, so many people have been saying about it. There's so many other great things from this. There's so many nice, like, the scenery in this, the set pieces are still incredibly great in this. There's still some very great battle scenes. The barrels scene did feel like a log flume ride, like, you know, when you go away on holiday and it's the rapid rides, but it was still a really cool thing. There's still the comedy elements of this, with Martin Freeman brings the comedy again, and the action, even though it's meant to be taken seriously in a way, it felt very comedy-like, because there's one part where this monster jumps up, where he gets hit by a boat up, and Legolas like stabs two knives in and his head comes off. I said to Steve, if this was a horror film, and you saw heads getting cut off and stuff, it would be an 18 straight away. But because it's a battle film, and it's medieval and things, it can get that 12 rating, and still with its violence. Action is great in this. You said you thought there was too much action, which I've never really heard someone say, oh, that bloody film had too much action for me. But I can understand where it's coming from, because I think Peter Jackson took into heart what the first people said about the first film. They were like, it's too slow at moments, not much is going on. Oh, they're walking here, they're walking there. Oh, then all of a sudden a bit of action happens. With this, it's like, all right, we're going to have some talking for maybe 5 minutes. Oh, wait a second. Oh, now people are getting slashed with knives and stuff. Oh, some things are falling through the ceiling. And it was... I can understand. I think as I've thought over it, I can understand what Steve's talking about. That there is... The action's good, okay? The action is... It takes you in and it is good. But it's just like, okay, maybe we could be taken into the story more and maybe connect with the characters a little bit more and not just be like, oh, they can fight. Yeah. The spider part is great as well. I thought the spider part is good.
Well done. It just adds... I mean, what I think is quite good is that what Peter Jackson actually managed to do was he gave the film... the book was, you know, like a kid's story, actually, like a children's adventure book, and he gave it a very dark element, which gives it a lot of... it just adds a lot to the story, and obviously it kind of makes it, once again, kind of more similar to Lord of the Rings, but that's one of the things that really were good about, assimilating those two. I can quickly talk about the action. I just had the impression that it sometimes was very, very hectic, you know? You don't really know what's going on. Some slashing here, some slashing there. Oh, where did those enemies come from? That's what I was talking about.
I'm not sure if we also saw this in the 48 frames per second.
Yeah, that's what we were also talking about.
There's 24 frames per second where it's a bit more steady, but I'm not sure if we saw it in 4 frames per second, because when I was first watching this, when you're in the IMAX and you have the big screen, there was one moment where I was like, alright, this looks like it's going really fast and really blurry, and there's one scene with Legolas fights like 4 orcs, and I couldn't tell how he had just attacked these orcs and how these knives were just in these orcs, and I wasn't sure what was going on there at that one point. Bilbo does use the ring a lot in this. You see a lot of Bilbo's ring.
That wasn't even half as funny as you think it is.
No, I thought it was. But did he use the ring a lot in the book?
I think he did, yeah.
Yeah, it's just, they had some good parts with the ring. Did have a good point for this, and it did have it worked for it. I know that like you know the ring already and you know what it does from Lord of the Rings, but this time you got to see more of things and how it helped out Bilbo. But yeah,
well, that's another good thing if I can just add there. They kind of give the ring also that negative taste that you already get in Lord of the Rings, while in The Hobbit it was just, we've got this magical ring and it can make me invisible. I can't remember it being that bad back then, but here you actually see the ring partly taking over.
But you pretty much know that, you already know that Bilbo goes crazy for the ring in Lord of the Rings, where he gets that.
Yeah, I know,
that
but
monster
that's
phase.
what I think
but,
is
yeah,
good.
It's taking him over.
Yeah, it's
already
good that they
in this,
show
you
it.
can see this how much it did take him over. The end of this did have me excited for the next film, though. First film, the ending, where the eagles landed them and they were dropped there, and then they looked out and they were like, "Oh, that's the place," and I wasn't. Like, I was excited for this, but the ending didn't have me that excited. But the ending of this had me excited to see what happens next, because it ended with a great end part and a great final line. And I know that the next film is going to be showing the 5 armies fighting, so I'm excited to see that. I'm hoping he's not going to try and do the massive battle from Return of the King again.
Yeah, that's like one of the parts where he just tries to make it too epic. Because
Yeah.
In the original book, it was just, it's a battle of these 5 armies and stuff, and it's kind of nice and pleasant, but he's probably just going to make
There's a battle that happens, but I'm really hoping he's not going to be like, all right, let's throw everything in from the battle from Lord of the Rings, let's get everything happening again. I just hope that he's not going to do that. I do hope there is a cool battle scene, but I just hope he's not going to try and make this be enough. Because at the moment, it's not as epic as Lord of the Rings, because by the second film of Lord of the Rings, a lot more happened, a lot more went on, and with Return of the King, so much went on. But with these 2 films, I think sort of, if you put them both together, the most that has gone in is the most that has gone on pretty much between Fellowship of the Ring and Two Towers, if you think. So yeah, that is our very long review of The Hobbit, Desolation of Smaug. I am going to give it... Smaug? Did I say it wrong?
Yeah.
Did I say Smaug?
You said Smaug. We were talking about this at the beginning, and you're like, Desolation of Smaug. No, it's not.
Smaug. Desolation of Smaug.
Smaug.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10, because, like I said, unnecessary love story. The action at points, like, it seemed like it was trying to be Lord of the Rings. 2 characters in this weren't in The Hobbit, and 1 character that doesn't need to exist, but she's still a good character. I still liked her, and I think Evangeline Lilly, did I say her name wrong or right there?
Pretty much right, I think.
Yeah, I think she still played the character incredibly well, and I really did like her. Altogether, I enjoyed it, and I'm excited for the next one. But
for my part, I did enjoy the film itself, but I would probably give it a higher rating if I hadn't read the book and just expected something different. So I'm still going to give it a 7 out of 10.
Yeah, I knew you.
But I think it could have just been more. There was just...
Yeah. You're saying they could have gone more into story instead of so many action things.
So many unnecessary, in my opinion.
I feel like this review sounded really, really negative, even though I enjoyed the film. I can't remember what I give... I think this is better than the first film, but I think I gave the first film a higher rating.
Well, to be honest, I actually enjoyed the first film more.
Yeah. I don't know, I just found some things better about it. I think I enjoyed them both very much, but I just found this maybe a tiny bit better, but I think I've given it a lower rating than I gave the first film. But, I think that can work in a way still. So I hope you enjoyed this review, and Steve and I will see you again very soon. If you've seen The Hobbit, Desolation of Smaug,
and you want to add anything, or
if you want to say
contradict us,
if you enjoy it, or if you liked it more than us or whatever, or what do you like more, Lord of the Rings or The Hobbit? I think that's a good question to ask. Thank you very much.
If you do, write a comment.
Yeah, thank you very much. No one writes them anymore. Thank you very much. Goodbye.